today to do a video, and that is going to be a book review, and I'm very excited. And the book I'm going to be reviewing is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book I have mixed feelings on. I have to say this at the beginning because I really liked the story, but it was so brutal. Like, some of the stuff that happened in this was really sad, and I was kind of like, oh... like, it's just sometimes some of these things have become like kind of hard to read, but I did like the story and the characters. It's definitely a character driven book because the world building again for me was a bit like what's going on, but other than that this book was really good and I'm excited to talk about it. And this book review is going to be spoiler free, so you don't have to worry about being spoiled. So in this book, it is very much a Roman kind of feel to it, like having all these warriors that feel like gladiators and having the slaves and how women are treated like trash because it's just how it is. But it's not Rome though, because if you look at the map, it's the empire and this is much bigger than Rome and everything is just all over on this map. It had a very good Roman vibe to it, and I haven't really read many books that have like really like Roman feel to them, so it was really fun to have that aspect of the series. So in this world, what happened is the land used to belong to the scholars, and they very much enjoyed having text and reading and learning, so they were very learning people. But then 500 years ago, they were overtaken by a group of people called the marshals, and they are like, they have martial law, they're just about fighting, about order, and it's all about just keeping everything in line and everything having to go as it's meant to be. That is what and that's the people that have overtaken and are part of the world now. And then there is another group of resistance fighters who are the scholars trying to bring back their land, and it's been 500 years that they've been trying to get their land back, and it's a very much fighting from this side to this side to this side to this side, and there's so many different elements of fighting in this world. And I have to admit, the world building for me was a bit difficult to grasp because the stories they were telling me were kind of a bit like, they explained it but they weren't giving me as much information as I wanted. Like, I would love to have a really good summary of like their history, like a history book would be really like, it'll make a lot more sense. Like, there's a lot of people involved, like why the resistance was made, why the scholars couldn't keep their land, why the marshals wanted to take over. It's just a lot of elements that I was a bit confused about, and I know a lot of people say the world building is one of the best I've ever read, but just for me personally, I just didn't get it for a lot. I hope it's more developed in the next book. I just really want some more of that world building, y'all. So now let's get on to characters, because there's quite a few in this series that I enjoy and some that I don't, but still, let's get into it. So one of the first main characters is Leia. I hope it's Leia because I keep thinking like, oh, Princess Leia from Star Wars, but I hope. And Leia is a scholar, and I'm pretty sure about this, but she's a scholar and she's just under the law because they don't kill all the scholars. They just live in their communities where they're always being like controlled, but she's part of the scholars and she lives with her grandparents and her brother Darren. One night her family home is raided by the masks and the marshals. The marshals want to take her brother because he has some secret that they want to find out, and then they kill her grandparents brutally. And Leia doesn't have anyone now. Her grandparents are gone, her parents died a couple years ago as well as her older sister, and her brother's gone. So what she does is she goes to the resistance to ask them for help, and the only way they will help her is if she goes into Blackcliff to spy on the commandant there, and she will go and impose as a slave. And the commandant is a ruthless, horrible woman and she hurts so many people. So Leia, going into this, will experience a lot of pain, but she does it for her brother. I think she's such a strong person to go and save her brother and to do all this stuff, like to go find out people that could kill her. And she goes through so much stuff, like there's so much torture and hurt for her, but she just does such a good job, and she always has a like idea of herself as being someone who's not courageous, and she just doesn't think she's worth people's time, but she does a good job trying to get in here and trying to find information out, and she makes friends and she finds people and she finds out a lot of truths about things that are really wrong in this society. So I really liked her character and I can't wait to get more from her. And then the next main character we've got is Ellis. I hope I'm saying his name right, I'm probably butchering this, but Ellis, I think that's right. He is a student at Blackcliff Academy and he is a mask. In the martial world, they have fighters who are called masks, and they wear these silver masks that like blend into their face, and I was so confused about this. I was just like, so like, can they like take them off, or do they actually just attach themselves to their face and they've got like, and they like like stick to their face and like do weird stuff. Like it's interesting, but I was just like, do they just stay there? And why don't everyone wears them? Why do only these ones get to wear them? And why? And like it just kept, I liked it, but I was so like, what is happening? I don't know. But as I was saying, he's a student at Blackcliff, and Blackcliff is like the biggest academy for training their new warriors, and they start there at like 8 and go till age 20. So there's a lot of different stages. Like that's a lot of like training as well. Like that's more like the Spartans as well, having like all this different training where they got to go through age groups, where they got so many tasks they got to complete. Like in this school, like they have to spend 4 years out in the desert just like trying to survive, and then they've got to be able to hurt the components and be able to fight through different things and have to do training in different areas, and they go through so much torture and pain to get to where they are. And Ellis is in his last year, and what he wants to do is to desert. He doesn't want to be a part of his martial land. He doesn't want to fight for them. He doesn't want to be a mask. He actually physically removes his mask as much as he can so it doesn't meld with his face. And I just liked the fact that he was just like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I hate it all. I don't want to kill people. I don't want to be a part of this fighting world. I just want to leave. And he was going to, and then it didn't really work out for him. But I really enjoyed the fact that he, from the beginning, he seemed like a good person, because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to be a part of this whole thingy that's going on in this world that he doesn't really understand. I did like that about him. And the next character we've got is Helene, and she is Ellis's best friend, and she's gone with him throughout all this training. And for girls, they only have one every generation that trains at Blackcliff, so she was very lucky. But I wasn't as big a fan of her character just because she was very much seeming to have feelings for Ellis, because there's a really weird like a love square triangle thing going on in this world with all these characters, but she very much had feelings for him, and she was always really blinded by them. And I really kind of like Ellis and Leia more than I like Ellis and Helene, so I'm kind of, that's one of my reasons for maybe not liking her as much. But she's very strong, and there's something going on with her. Going into this book, I was reading and I'm just like, oh, there's something a bit shady about you. Something's going on there. And when you find out what it is, it's just like, this makes so much sense. Everything just is coming together. But I like that she's like a really strong fighter, and she's goes good against all these men that are around her. Like she's a very great fighter, and I like it. And then the next character I want to talk about is Kian, and he is part of the Resistance, and he's like the second in the whole place, and he's a bit older than Leia, and I think that they have sort of a relationship thing going on too. So it's kind of like they've like Leia and Ellis seem to maybe be together, but then they both got these people on the side, and it's just like, it's too much going on. I just, love triangles are bad enough, but then you've got this one where both have a separate love triangle, like every character, like both of the main characters have, like he's got 2 girls and she's got 2 guys, and it's just like, it's some things going on there that I just was like, ugh. I really liked Kian. He seemed like he was generally a nice person, and he felt wrong about having to send Leia to this place where she was brutally hurt so many times. But I really liked the fact that he was starting to become a nice character, and seeing all these, like having all these quirks and being all fun. Like I do like his character. Like if they ended up with these other people, I would be okay, but I'm kind of shipping this one. But you know, I'd be okay with it, but I'm still going to be going on with my ship, which is Leia and Ellis. But I really did like his character, and he was a good buffer for the Resistance. And having all these different characters was really good, and I enjoyed that. Another character I really liked was Izzy, and she is so adorable. I love her. She's one of the slaves in the command's house with Leia, and she's so adorable. What's really sad is she had one of her eyes like pulled it. The command ripped her eye out when she was 5. Like that's just brutal. But I really like her character and how she became such a good friend and like confident for Leia, and I love them too. Cook I also loved, and there was something about her too. I feel like there's still more information that I want to find out about her after reading this book. We never find out her name, and we do find out that she's got some sort of something going on with the Resistance, which I think was really interesting, and I just can't wait to see how, like, I feel like these things are like getting laid out at the beginning of the book to become such a big thing at the end, and it's just like, yes, everything is going to make sense, everything is going to work, and you're going to be like, like, I just can't wait. And we've only just had the second book come out now, and I'm going to read that, and probably more stuff is going to be introduced that it's going to kill me. But I can't wait to see more and more and more of this world because it's just amazing. But with the plot of this story's going is there was a prophecy said 500 years ago that once the Emperor couldn't produce any more heirs, they would have one hand-picked, and what's happened is 4 of the students that are in Ellis's class, including himself, are picked to go through these trials to become the new Emperor. So Helene's there, Ellis is there, Marcus and Zach are 2 other people who are just assholes that are in part of this, so you kind of want, you know, these 2 to win and not those 2. It's always the way, isn't it, when you just got these asshole characters that you just like, don't you even try, mate, because you're gonna suck. But it's about these trials of strength, like how strong you are, how you can go against fighting your enemies, how smart, loyalty, and it's very, you know, fighting based. Like, I thought there'd be a lot more trials about, you know, how good you are of running a country, or how are you with talking to like allies and stuff, but it's very brutally strong, and that's the main premise of this book, is Ellis trying to get through these trials, Leia trying to figure out information, and then their paths cross because they both sort of going towards the same conclusion of stuff they want to figure out. But this book was just like, so much was going on, even though not much was going on, if that makes sense. Like, the book was slow, I think, up until like the first 300 pages, and then it really got into the drama and the elements of everything, and I was just like I really want to read the next book now because it left on kind of a cliffhanger, and I'm just like, I need to know what's happening. And the one thing I want to talk about though is that this book heavily emphasizes the fact that women get raped a lot. Like, the men in the academy always taking slaves and raping them. And Helene is always having people like sort of come into her and Nelly raping her, and it's really sad because Leia's a really beautiful person and that's what drives these men to want to rape them. But I hate the fact that people just think that they're entitled to it. Like, that's another person that you're hurting, and it's so like vile. It's just hard to read in this book because just rape's not a good thing, and it's such a part of culture now how bad it is, and it's good that authors are branching out and really writing with the history of what happened in those times, but it's always just, it's really sad having it like happen to characters and having to read their stories, and it's just, yeah, it's a really sad issue. And it's just the thing, like, I just didn't like how heavily emphasized it was in the book, but that's just me. I just don't, it's not something I like to read about because it is so sad. But just putting that point in there of why this book is a bit sad for me. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching this book review. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't spoil anything. I really tried. I hope I didn't. I really tried with my reviews to try and do some that don't have spoilers in them so everyone can watch them. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of this nice book. I gave it 4 stars, I'm pretty sure, in Goodreads, so that's my rating. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!